host Laura Brown as she introduces life-changing intuitive tools, live on-the-air intuitive tarot readings, guided energy work to help you align with your highest good, and inspiring conversations. Each show blends Laura's natural psychic gifts with her traditional training as a counselor and coach to provide you with a down-to-earth approach to living your most aligned, most inspired, and most elevated life. So grab your drink of choice, sit back, relax, and join us for another episode of Intuitive Alchemy Radio. Here is your host, Laura Brown.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Laura Brown, and you are listening to Intuitive Alchemy Radio, your home for inspiring conversations and the intuitive tools that can and will transform your life. So we are here now in October. Oh, I am so excited. I have a special love affair with this month. I love the turning of the wheel, and even though officially we do that on, roughly September 21st-ish of September, October really, to me, feels like the official start of autumn. It's also my youngest child's birthday on Halloween. So we have a little Artemis who was born on Halloween. So this month holds a very special magic for me. And even more so with this month, it's a little bit nutty. I'm not going to lie. There seems to be a lot of just clearing, a lot of resetting, and a lot of releasing. And I mentioned a little bit about this and alluded a little bit to the themes of the month in last week's show. But this week, as we come into this new month here, the second day of the month, we're really beginning to settle into the energy. And that's what we're here to talk about, specifically just unpacking the energy of the month as we do at the beginning of every month, so that each of you, including myself, can align to the inner and outer rhythms of this experience and make empowered choices. So October's energy, as we mentioned, speaks to release. Like leaves falling to the ground, it is time to let fall away any constructs or inner templates that no longer are needed. So the aim is to maintain a state of balance, even as certain constructs within and around us begin to dismantle. Remember that imagery of a tree, right? Branches of the tree do not strain downward to clench to the leaves that have fallen. Instead, each tree participates so willingly in this release, knowing that it is part of the natural order. So we begin this month very much primed for this cycle. We have felt the waves of energy that has been flowing since the equinox portal. Likely have felt it even before then. That is, very much automatically facilitating this release. And this release is designed to help us establish a much more profound equilibrium in our lives as we fully integrate the lessons learned from the past 6 months. The wisdom gained from these experiences weaving its way through our being. With this and anything, around us, which has activated these lessons, anything that has triggered these lessons, those constructs, those stimuli are likely to begin to fall away. We have absorbed the medicine of this stimuli. We have taken in all that it has to offer, and so now it is time for these structures to collapse. There was a substantial, and I really want to highlight this, such a substantial amount of resistance when I channeled the energy of the month, telling me that for many of us, we're going to move into a space of resistance. Naturally, some of us may want to resist the flow of this energy. We may want to kind of clench to what is falling away. We may not necessarily feel entirely ready. And so we'll kind of step into the resistance of, I'm not ready. or I need more time. So it's worth reminding that our goal is to participate, much like the trees around us, with this process, and to do so quite joyously, to do so with an awareness of being in alignment. Some questions that I encourage all of us to ask ourselves, especially now at the beginning of the month, which is a really great time to align with the energy. Ask, what am I clenching to right now? What is driving my resistance to the change happening within and around me? Am I grasping the potential and ignoring the reality of the situation? How can I celebrate what was as I open to what is coming? How can I slip into a space of acceptance and grace with what I am feeling? If I look at my feelings without judgment or characterization, what can I learn from them? Grounding into the energy of these shifts and doing the necessary self-inquiry is needed as we enter the mid-month portal, because this is when the purge really begins. The prep work has been done at the beginning of the month, and any of that work that we put in, any of that extra work, that care and attention we made to really dig into that energy and that prep work is going to go quite far in helping us to establish very early on the balance and the harmony that we carry with us through this cycle. The first of the month is where we've identified our resistance. Now it's time for us to participate in the process of release through total acceptance of what is and letting go of our expectations. There was a joy that really came through, and it was a bit subtle, not quite as strong as the resistance at the beginning of the month, but it was there nonetheless when I was channeling this mid-month energy. And it felt to me like joy around being in alignment. Many of us will accept whatever is beginning to dismantle, that is being purged, when before they would resist. So this leaves me feeling very much like we will surprise even ourselves with the amount of growth that we demonstrate at mid-month and how we're able to slip into a space of accepting what is beginning to be released, to be purged, dismantled, rather than necessarily feeling completely compelled or controlled by any resistance that comes up. Now, naturally, this does not mean that the constructs and templates around resistance that came through at the beginning of the month have been dismantled. Unfortunately, many of us may still clench, but by mid-month, however, this energy morphs to me from just the strength of that resistance into more of resistance that centers around fear of making the wrong choice or fear of letting go because of questions around what if. The antidote for this is trust. Trust that in what is unfolding, trust in ourselves, trust in our cosmic light family, trust in our teams, knowing that what is falling to the ground is doing so because it no longer holds the vitality required and needed to stay upright. Our guides would never allow something to fall away that was truly and inherently needed for our survival. Rather, that which is falling apart, it's doing so to make the space needed for those templates that will give way to what is required for the next cycle as we enter the 2020 timeline. So by the end of the month, we're facing then a period of reset. And with this, the call for more considerable attention around self-care and self-nurturing. Nap when a nap is needed. Eat healthy and delicious foods that are fresh and contain the vitality requiring replenishment during this time. Get your body moving so that you are fully facilitating the flow of energy through the body. Take time out for quiet reflection and introspection. This introspection is so incredibly vital energy at the end of the month as it allows us to begin to contemplate the what next. This is a time to check in with ourselves. Who are we after this release? How has this relief changed us? What did it bring to the surface in our reactions and our behavior? How has our inner landscape changed? There is a little bit of this sort of take charge feel to the energy, but it originates first within. We are exploring our inner world much like we would an empty house we were considering buying. We are visualizing what can be from a blank slate, where we would hang the pictures on certain walls, what kind of couch we would want in the great room. We're getting an opportunity to take in a blank space and begin to play pleasurably with what we want to fill on that space. So it's a highly generative energy calling us to be super mindful that our focus remains not on the resistance that is kind of creating some friction through the month, but rather nestled into a place of ultimate possibility. Really moving into a space where we can reach into the unknown, not with a fear of the worst happening, but with an expectation of the absolute best. So this month's mantra for everyone is free from what was. I now have full creative license to be who I choose to be. I highly encourage you to write down this mantra. It has proven from what I have heard from everyone else to be potent medicine for keeping us grounded and aligned in this energy as we travel the weeks ahead. And this especially felt like a direct imperative from our guide, from our cosmic light family, reminding us that we are at the cusp. We are at a space where we are being given full creative license. And some of us may well want to clench and hold on to the paradigms of old, but we are all being encouraged to understand that space is being created so that we now move into a space where we get to decide who we are, who we're becoming, who we desire to be. So before we head into the break, let's at least get into our Aries Tarotscope for the month. Aries, for you, I have chosen the Three of Pentacles, or rather drawn the Three of Pentacles. And this is an energy of collaboration. It is an energy of working in community. It is a reminder that anything we are establishing this month, anything that you are feeling called to, especially if you are trying to work on some of that dismantling that is coming up. You may feel like you need to go it alone, which is a very Aries-like mentality. You may want to just sort of hit the ground running, or you may feel like you've got it all under control. The Three of Pentacles is actually saying that anything you do this month is going to be all the more amplified and enriched if you invite in the wisdom, the expertise, the help, guidance, support of other people, specifically your community, specifically those who may well have their leg or their hands in whatever it is that you are dealing with. So this can work on both that internal level, but also that external level. You know, whether you're doing work on the inside or there's something you're building on the outside, know that your medicine this month is to ask yourself, where can I collaborate more? Where can I build a village rather than feeling as though I need to do this all on my own? When we open up to the wisdom of others and to their support and their guidance, we really find that everything we do is amplified for what they bring to the table. We all have our expertise, we all have our unique perspective, and we may find that something we were hung up on, something we may not have been super sure around, is easily rectified and clarified just by simply asking somebody else for their input. So this month, really do allow yourself to lean into community and find yourself is supported on all levels because of it. So we're going to move on to Taurus here. We have the Six of Swords for you guys. Now, the Six of Swords is an energy of transition, and obviously very, very apropos for the energy of the month. You are swimming with the tides, my dear Taurians. You are ready for the transitions, for the releases, for the purging that is taking place. The Six of Swords is simply our leaving one shore to venture to another. For many of us, for many of you, it could well be that this is a chosen type of adventure. You may want this transition. You may have even worked for it. You may have even fought for it. Maybe it is your going after that promotion, getting word that you received it, and now you're moving into that new role. For others, however, it can be a transition that feels like it's being forced upon us. Relationships that end, ways of being, living that end. Wherever you fall on this spectrum, the Six of Swords medicine is to remind you, much like the energy of the month is reminding you, that we cannot grow and become our highest and best staying in the same space, and that we must be willing to stretch past the limits of our comfort zone if we're going to become our highest and best, if we are going to participate in our evolution. All right, guys, we're going to head on over into a break, and when we come back, we will continue with the individual readings for October.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Laura Brown, and you are listening to Intuitive Alchemy Radio. We are unpacking the energy of October and are going through sign by sign, providing you all with an individual reading for the month of October. Before we move into Gemini, just a real quick reminder that to gain the most from these readings and to have the most vivid picture of the month ahead, I strongly encourage you to listen to your sun, moon, and rising sign. If you don't know what those are, you can very easily plug in your birthday information and location through various websites on Google and receive that information, like I said, free of charge. Also listen to your cusp sign. If you were born within 7 to 10 days is usually what I encourage, then you'll want to listen to the reading that comes for the sign after yours. That being said, let's move into Gemini. And you guys have the King of Pentacles. This is going to be a very highly generative month for you, Gemini. The King of Pentacles is sort of the pinnacle of the manifestation, the the rooted earthly element of the Pentacles. It is a time where you are seeing opportunities fully take shape and take form, and the fruits of your labors being delivered. It is a time where you are very much capable of just seeing things unfold in such a very beautiful, very aligned, and actually very efficient way. I say efficient, not so much fast, because the Pentacles don't always move super, super fast. Earth, even the place of Earth by and large is a sort of slow and steady creep, and that's kind of what we want to maintain stability above ground. It's that same sort of component with the King of Pentacles and with all of the Pentacles, is that we really have to get on board with the idea that likely anything that is manifesting for you this month has been something that's been in the works for some time. And so it's likely that now is when you're really seeing everything gel and come together. But also anything you begin this month, even if you haven't necessarily been building something and manifesting something in your life, but you've been considering it, now is really the time, because the King of Pentacles is giving you the precise medicine, the precise order, the route that you're really going to want for establishing something that has lasting potential in your experience. All right, Cancerians, my Cancer friends, Six of Cups. I love the Six of Cups because it always is a reminder for us to step back into an energy of permission to experience pleasure. And I think as adults, that is something that is so incredibly important for us. If you think about how we were as children, our entire day revolved around what we wanted to do, what would be fun, what sounded fun, what was going to be enjoyable. And we lived our entire lives still from this place of, I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy myself. And so even though we may not necessarily be able to still live in that exact space, because, hello, adulting, we can at least bring in an element of it. We can begin to examine where in our lives we are living out of balance. Where are we still in this space of doing more that is in the responsibility and obligation column than we are the want and the desired column? So really this month is about stepping into a space where you're evaluating how there may be a lack of balance between those two areas, obligation and desire, want and need, and really begin to invite more of that pleasure, more of the want into your experience. I get it. It's not always easy. I run a very successful business. I do this radio show. I have 3 kids, a husband, a house, a dog, and lots of other passions, clients that I see. So I get it, sis. I am totally right there with you that it is sometimes very hard to find the time. But that doesn't mean the time isn't there. And that doesn't mean that I can't juggle a few things or maybe delegate and ask for a little bit of help with some things so that maybe there is a little bit of space for me to invite some pleasure into my life. And that's really where you are being encouraged to go as you navigate the coming 4 weeks. If you want the time and you make it important, the time will be found. You will make the time. All right, moving over to Leo, 9 of Wands. So we have a lot of wand energy. In fact, the next several, all but one of the, or two of the next several readings are going to be wands energy, which I find to be a bit appropriate with the energy of the month. And Leo, the 9 of Wands, I really feel like you guys may be part of that camp that is really resisting the energy of the month. The 9 of Wands in its sort of barest form is a sense of being on defense. It is sort of our having our guard up. It is our sort of being the sentry in front of whatever it is that we have built or we have established in this very protective stance, the stance of don't you come any closer, bro, or it's going to get ugly. Okay, that's the 9 of Wands energy. Now, here's the thing. It could well be that you are feeling as though the ground beneath your feet is shaky and that it's not quite stable. And so you are really trying to be proactive, protective around what it is that you value most. That's great. Sometimes we need to be in that space. Sometimes we need to guard what is ours and to know it's our right to do that. However, given the energy of the month, which we always must take into consideration as we interpret these energies, it may well be too that you are clenching to something that just because you don't want it to leave may still be trying to leave your experience anyway. So it's very important for you to practice a little bit of that raw, brutal honesty that you're so good at doling out to everybody around you. Well, hon, you're going to need to kind of turn it inward, and you're going to really have to hold yourself accountable and be certain that you are not moving into a space whereby you are clenching to something that very clearly is trying to leave your experience. It's time for you to really step into a space of kind of riding that line between protecting what is yours, but also knowing when maybe something is no longer meant to be yours. Something is no longer meant to be a part of your experience. Okay, Virgo, this reading is for you, my love. We have the World card. Now, the World card is a completion of a cycle. Again, very appropriate for the energy of the month. You are seeing things come full circle. Some of you, it may be in a way that feels a bit tense. For others, it could very well be a very positive completion of a cycle. Think of things like, again, having a promotion that's offered to us, graduating from college, think of it too from a perspective of what we may not want. It could be that certain ways of living, relationships are coming to a close. The medicine that the World card reminds us is that when we have traveled for full circle, we have, in essence, we've hit upon all the lessons, all of the little pockets of medicine that were in that circle, in that cycle that were available for us. We've taken them in, and we must have integrated them. We must have figured them out or otherwise worked with them to our utmost ability, because the cycle is coming to an end so that we can enter into a new cycle filled with new possibilities, new lessons, new growth, and new, everything. So it's important for us to honor, number one, that we learned the lessons we needed to of the previous cycle. Way to go. Always good. We want to do that. That's how we continuously grow and evolve. But also, rather than clenching and resisting, we want to remind ourselves that there is so much amazing deliciousness waiting for us at that new cycle. But we cannot get to that new cycle unless we fully embrace the closing of this one and make it very much about a sacred ending. We tend to resist endings. We tend to look at them as something that we don't want. And so consequently, we move into a space where we resist them and we begrudge them, and we have this really kind of tough and difficult relationship. When in truth, if we move into the sacredness of it, we can acknowledge and honor all that it is we've already done, while also moving into a space of pure and unfettered excitement at all that we know is waiting for us. All right, Libra, you guys have the Moon card. Now, the Moon card in this case, it has lots of different meanings, but this is where I'm being pulled, especially as it relates to the collective energy impacting us all. You are likely going to find a lot of your shadowy aspects, a lot of the fragmented parts of self, a lot of the wounds and experience that you've encountered, that you've pushed into the shadows, all coming to the surface. This feels to me like a lot of your reactions, a lot of the ways in which you're interacting with the collective energy, as well as anything that's going on for you this month, is really kind of coming from a place of reactivity, coming from a place of what has been left neglected within, from a place of what has been or under processed when it comes to trauma, wounds, etc. The Moon card in this case, Libra, is really reminding you to step into a space of asking yourself, where can I truly integrate this? You may find yourself frustrated by how you're responding, or reacting rather. You may find yourself irritated that facets of yourself, attributes, ways of being, responding, things that you thought you had dealt with, right? Like that you had gone through, you healed, you let them go. All of a sudden they're rearing their heads again. And rather than coming into a place where you're judging them, and then you're layering one heavy emotion, because then what happens next? You're upset with yourself for doing something, or you're upset that something you thought you dealt with is kind of coming back into play. And then you move into a space of frustration. You move into a space of shame. I can't believe I did that. What's wrong with me? You're getting this guilt factor that's coming in. You're telling yourself that something's wrong with you, et cetera, et cetera. So you're layering one heavy emotion and experience on top of an already heavy emotional experience. It's a recipe for utter madness. So rather than moving into a space where you are characterizing, where you are judging, where you are, criticizing these facets of self, I really instead would love for you to hold space for these facets of yourself. Call back the fragmented parts of yourself. Sit with your reactions, your anger, your jealousy, your envy. Sit with your pain, your trauma. Try to understand it. Try to dialogue with it. Because holding this space is not only where you deprive it of its power, which, by the way, is your suppression, is your characterization, your judgment, your shame, your guilt, etc. You're taking away its power, and you're actually working on integrating with it. Integrating it back into the self. This is the whole idea around holism, folks. This is the whole idea around being whole within the self. So though it may be a bit tense, Libra, your medicine is to actually sit with and to make space at the table, to start a conversation, a dialogue with whatever it is that's giving rise within you that feels a bit shadowy. That's going to be where you feel the sweetest relief, trust me. All right, Scorpio, this reading is for you, and we have the Seven of Wands. There is something that is arising around challenge and competition this month that is likely rubbing you the wrong way. It could be that you had reached a certain level of success, or maybe you got a promotion, maybe you had gained a little bit of ground in some area or facet of your life. And now you find you're in a space where there's a whole lot of other people interested in what it is that you have garnered, what it is that you've gained, what it is that you have accomplished for yourself. This is a reminder that we are always going to have those who maybe feel threatened by our success, who maybe feel a bit unnerved by our success, or who maybe in their own way feel a little unsure of themselves, that they want to emulate how you have done things. We see this a lot in the online space. There's a lot of copying. There's a lot of, kind of stealing of other people's work, of other people's brands, of other people's, their process, what they're doing, etc. And it's not always, very often, I'm going to say, from a place of maliciousness. More often than not, it is somebody who's seeking to belong. So if you find yourself in a space where you feel like competition is kind of getting close, where there's people who are encroaching upon your medicine, upon your ground, it's really important that you try to understand maybe why this is happening, rather than moving into a place of anger, though you are entitled to feel a bit frustrated and upset with having that happen. But to do so from a place of wanting to understand maybe why this person would be encroaching on your ground. But additionally, remember that challenge and competition, especially after we have reached a certain place in our life, is a reminder to stay sharp. We don't stay at the top of our game by being lazy, by thinking that, because I've gotten here, I don't need to do anything anymore. No, other people who are continuing to learn, to stretch themselves, to stay up to date, they're going to push us out. I would not be where I'm at 18 years in my career if I had just kind of gone, I know how to read tarot, and I took a coaching course, so I guess I'm good. No, I'm where I'm at in the level of success that I'm at because I continually push myself, because I'm continually staying on trend with what my community desires, because I'm learning new modalities, I'm taking new trainings, I'm making sure that I am my sharpest, that I am my best. So if we can perceive any challenges or competition, not necessarily as a threat, but a reminder to keep ourselves sharp, then we can make sure that we're always ahead of everybody else, that we are always our absolute best, that we are at our sharpest and our most proficient. So the Seven of Wands, challenge and competition, again, don't really sweat those who may be trying to encroach on your ground. See it maybe as a reminder of something that we often forget, which is that we worked very hard to get to where we are. We are at a space that probably a great number of people would love to be and maybe one day aspire to be. But ultimately, we can interact with these attributes. We can interact with this notion of challenge and competition in a way that feels very safe, in a way that feels very much like it is an opportunity for us to maybe push ourselves to be a little bit better, to be a bit more sharp, to be a bit more aware of where things are going, how we need to expand, etc. All right, so we're actually going to go into the final break here, and we will finish with Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces after a few short messages. So please stay with us.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight-or-flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head-on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert, filling in for Smokey, because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hey there, everyone. Your host, Laura Brown here. You're listening to Intuitive Alchemy Radio, and we are wrapping up the final readings for the month of October. Before we do, I want to very briefly go into the shows that we have on the schedule for all of you. We are going to be talking with Bridget Esselmont next week, an interview that we recorded about a month ago that is super, super important and relevant, whether you are a tarot professional or just a tarot enthusiast. We had hoped to air it last month, but had a little bit of a sick day. So we are finally getting that out there and off to all of you. And it's a really, really great opportunity to soak into the medicine of just how Bridget Esselmont has taken Biddy Tarot to such astounding heights. Then on 10/16, we have the full moon in Aries. We're going to be doing a transmission centered around permission for possibility. On 10/23, we have an encore of the October energy and Tarotscope readings. So we will be replaying this show for the month. And then on 10:30, we will have an encore of 5 surefire ways to flip the manifesting switch. This is going to be a really important show for rounding out and kind of grounding further into the energy of October, because it really is going to give you some very practical tips on how it is that you can maximize all of the space that has now been created through the month of October and its collective energies. So those are the shows that we have on deck for you this month. Getting back into the readings, we have Sagittarius up next, and we have the 5 of Wands. Told you that there was a lot of Wands energy this week. So the 5 of Wands, the phrase that always comes up for me around this card is having too many cooks in the kitchen. Now, I see this dynamic in this card come up quite a bit when I am working with those that are in, some sort of career conundrum. And it's this idea of having a bunch of people who have a common goal in mind. They're working on a similar project. They're trying to get something done related to their job, but they just cannot seem to get it together around how to accomplish that task, how to accomplish this shared goal. So for you this month, Sagittarius, it's going to feel a little bit like there are so many people who are more interested in being right, who are more interested in being the one to run the show than they are necessarily open to finding compromise, finding a kind of common ground upon which everybody can work together to establish something and to make something happen for themselves. The 5 of Wands is not always the most comfortable of energies, and that's mostly because it's very hard when everybody seems to be talking at one another rather than to one another to find how, we can be the ringleaders to bring everybody together. So the art of diplomacy is going to be super, super crucial for you this month. And though you may well be in a space of just kind of wanting to be right, wanting to be heard, wanting your way to be the way, it's very important that you seek instead to find that common ground, to find a way by which you can get everybody back into a space of remembering that there is a shared common vision, a shared goal, and that there can be a way to bend and to take in a little bit of what all are offering, rather than getting caught up in this needless bickering and fighting with one another and competing against one another and talking at one another. Instead, we can all work with and alongside one another. All right, Capricorn, this reading is for you, and you have the 6 of Wands. Now, the 6 of Wands tells me that this is a month whereby you are being guided by this sense of achievement, success, possibility. There's this feeling with the 6 of Wands of kind of, coming home after a long, hard-fought battle, having been victorious. And everybody's lining the path, and they're throwing flowers, and they're hollering, and they're, showing their appreciation and their praise of the work that you've done, of the accomplishment that you've accomplished. And so while you may not necessarily have that grand of a welcoming committee, Capricorn, this is a month whereby you are achieving a whole lot for yourself. And obviously this is going to be proportionate to how much you've been putting in the last, couple of months, maybe even the last, year. Maybe you've been really, really working on something within yourself or around in your external life. But there's this sense with the 6 of Wands that you are really beginning to see everything come together. And you're seeing the pieces fall into place. And you're feeling so incredibly inspired. You're seeing signs, even if you quite haven't gotten the gold star of total achievement. Know that it is forthcoming, but you should still nonetheless be seeing signs of those pieces falling into place. Seeing signs of everything working in your favor, of the fruits that are, yours by right of the hard work you've put in coming your way. And that is then a time for you to really step into a space, as much as you may be receiving a whole lot of praise from those around you, as much as you may be receiving everybody's praise and their success or their, I can't think of the word here, their celebration of your success. The fact is you want to be dialed in for providing that for yourself. You want to be dialed into doing that for yourself. It's nice to receive that from everybody else. But at the end of the day, even the closest people to you don't really have an entire idea of all you had to do to get here. They don't know everything you dealt with. They weren't inside your mind as you were fighting this battle. They didn't know how often you felt like giving up. They didn't know how often you went back and forth in your own head about, do I do this? Do I do that? Is this the right choice? What if I fail? They weren't on that hamster wheel with you. So as much as they may supported you and truly are very much aware of how hard you work, they're never going to be truly aware because they don't live within you. Therefore, as much as it's nice to receive their praise, it will never, ever quite fill the space in any lasting way, unless, of course, it's you being willing to also shower yourself with that praise and you being willing to celebrate your success and you're stopping and pausing and taking a moment to really take in the totality of your journey, to celebrate all the times that you didn't give up, to celebrate all the times that maybe you wanted to give up and yet you still woke up the next day and pushed through, to celebrate all the ways in which you just kept telling yourself, I can do this. I know that I'm meant to do this. I know that I am worthy of this. I would love for all of you, as much as it's totally A-okay to bask in the light that others are casting upon you, I really would be tickled to have more of you doing that for yourself than relying on just receiving it from everyone else, because that's what's going to fill you up. That is what is going to keep you able and capable of stretching and continuing this journey. Because though you are in some way, shape, or form, Capricorn, having some element of success and achievement this month, with that comes a new set of responsibility. With that, as we stand atop the mountain, we now have a view that allows us to see where else we may want to travel, what else we may want to accomplish for ourselves, what we may want to do. And in order to get there, in order to be able to accomplish those things, we have to have our wells filled. And long after everybody else has gone back to their lives and they've forgotten what it is that we did and their praise and celebration is no longer present, it's going to be the praise and celebration, the honoring that you did for yourself that is still going to remain. So make that your focus, please. That's going to be where you really see the most momentum and the greatest of gains. All right, we are moving now into Aquarius. In Aquarius, you have one of my very, very favorite cards, the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands is the creatrix. She sees it, she wants it, she makes it happen and gets it. She is not somebody who often takes the word no and just accepts it. She's much more willing to say, oh yeah, watch me. The Queen of Wands tells me that this month you are a force to be reckoned with. You are not going to stop just because you hit a snag. You are not going to stop just because a challenge has presented itself. Instead, you are going to continue to saunter, to scrounge, to drag yourself to wherever and to whomever and whatever you are attempting to accomplish for yourself this month. You are on fire, which is appropriate for the month with this energy. You are seeing the blank spaces collectively being created with everything that's being released, and you're really feeling that creative and that inspired action bubbling to the surface. You're getting dialed into what you want and why you want it. You are beginning to explore all of the exciting possibility that is taking shape and that now is available to you because of the space that has been cleared. You are ready, willing, and able to do the work, but you also know that there is an element of magic and miracle with all of manifestation. And this is very much the energy of creating that alchemy. that energy of working with fire. So this would be an excellent time to maybe write down your intentions, the things that you desire to manifest, and to set them to the flame safely, obviously. This would be a wonderful time for you to maybe meditate upon the flame of a candle, or if it's still something that is available to you, starting if you have a fire pit or a fireplace. If you can't go outside, just meditating and working with the element of fire is going to prove super beneficial. It is a powerful energy with this card. It is a powerful energy that is part of the tide of this collective energy. So inviting that into your experience is going to prove super helpful. Now, the one caveat, the one drawback with the Queen of Wands is that the flip side, the shadow side of her energy is that she can be, well, let's just say it rhymes with witchy. She is somebody who sometimes can be so sure of herself, so sure of what she is after, so sure of what she is going to accomplish, that sometimes she runs roughshod over everyone else around her. Now, I get it. Tenaciousness is something that I value. I believe it has been integral to what I've achieved in my life on all fronts. The ability to go after with zeal and vigor is super important. But if it costs us important relationships, if it costs us things and people that we value, if it costs us our integrity and our reputation, it's probably not advisable. It's probably whatever we're after, not going to be worth it in the end. So as much as fire may be dialed on high for you this month, you want to make sure that you work holistically with it, not get burned by it, folks. All right, so we're going to move into the final reading for October. Pisces, last but certainly not least, my fellow fish, we have the 10 of Cups this month. Now, there's a sense of coming full circle, particularly where relationships are concerned. We may find ourselves evolving in our relationship. So if you've been sort of casually dating somebody and maybe building your way towards something more significant, this month is where you may actually make it Facebook official or committed and kind of, decide or have a sort of exclusivity discussion. The 10 of Wands, or the 10 of Cups rather, is an energy of emotional stability and connection. So our relationships in all their forms are going to prove super beneficial and super supportive this month. That's going to be where the vast majority of our focus is on. We're going to want to feel that sense of connection. We're going to want to reach out with our community, reach out and maybe get, everybody together, maybe do a potluck dinner, which is super Piscean, having everybody's super comfortable and, with their drink of choice and a great fine meal and great conversation. This could be the precise environment with which you could really satisfy that need for connection and comfort and knowing that you are supported on all sides with these amazing, wonderful people. And maybe if you happen to feel like that has been a little lacking in your life, it's time to be a little more proactive. Let's be honest, as adults, it's not super easy to make friends. Maybe some of us are better at it than others, but by and large, for many of us, the friends we have are either people we work with or they're people that we befriended in high school or in college. It's very hard to meet people without those constructs in their lives. So if you're somebody who, like myself, works from home or has their own office space that's just their own and isn't surrounded by a bunch of other people, or if you're, maybe a stay-at-home mom, you may not have the strongest support system. Doesn't mean it's not available to you. It just means it's time to get a little creative. Bumble Friends is a great, or BFF, I think, Bumble BFF is a great way of connecting with people of similar interests that you can begin to get to know. reach out into your community forums. I know here in Colorado, we have nextdoor.com that we oftentimes rely on, where we can connect with our neighbors, people who quite literally are our neighbors. There's lots of different ways, especially with the digital age, that we can begin to connect with people. Just because we may not have certain structures whereby it was super easy and carefree to establish these relationships doesn't mean that they're not available to us. So this is a time, a month, for you to really get connected with your people. Get connected with those who support you. And if you feel like that is lacking, okay, that's all right. That happens from time to time. Put yourself out there and make it happen. It can, and it will. All right, Pisces, and all the rest of my beautiful listeners, I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this show as we unpacked October's energy. It is going to be a very exciting, a little bit of an emotional roller coaster of a month, but there is a lot of medicine to be had here. And I know that each and every one of us hopefully will do so going through this month, will do so with the utmost grace and ease, and with a reminder that absolutely anything is possible for us. Remember this month's mantra: free from what was, I now have full creative license to be who I choose to be. So next week, please join us again. We will be having the interview with Bridget Esselmont of biddytarot.com. And that is all for today, folks. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope that the tides of energy hold you so sweetly. Bye for now.